There we go. I don't know how to view Alfredo Angulo. 24-4 with 18 KOs. Now, he has a good knockout percentage, right? But when you look at his 4 defeats, 3 of them have come by knockout. 2 of them in his last 2 fights. Erislandy Lara broke his face where he was the first person to put Erislandy Lara down multiple times. In the fight where it looked like if it went to 12 rounds, he would have most likely won. But once again, Erislandy Lara broke his face. He fought Saul Canelo Alvarez. Once again, it was stopped. He was taking crazy uppercuts, and this was Saul Canelo Alvarez's first fight back after fighting Floyd Mayweather. So, Alfredo Angulo, September 12th, 2014, is going to be taking on a fighter by the name of James De La Rosa. You haven't heard of him before. He's had only 5 10-round fights. And the fight that I seen of him, I forgot the name of it. I watched it yesterday. He's going to be right in front of Angulo. He's there for Angulo to look good. Angulo has somewhat of a low punch output. Angulo also has been knocked out before. So you have to ask yourself, okay, all right, he's a pressure fighter. But what happens when you put the pressure on him? Just like Saul Canelo Alvarez did. Well, both fighters weighed in at 162 pounds. So Angulo has dreams of being a 160-pound champion. But this fight, they weighed in above 160, so which means, and it was the contracted weight. The contracted weight was 162. So which means he's technically fighting, no, not technically, he is fighting at super middleweight, which is the limit of 168 pounds. So what I'm saying is this: you got Daniel Jacobs, who is one of the WBA champion. Showtime, Jim Gray, they're saying he's the WBA champion, but realistically, we all know Gennady Gennadievich Golovkin is the WBA champion. So, if you don't know how the WBA works, just to explain briefly, you have the WBA Super World. That's the one that Mayweather and Golovkin have. And then you have the WBA World, which is the one that Erislandy Lara and Daniel Jacobs has. So you thinking like, well, why is it not an interim belt? There is an interim belt too, and that's why the WBA is crazy, because they got all these belts. But to move on, Showtime, as we probably know, it's going to be Peter Quillin versus Daniel Jacobs, because Peter Quillin walked away from $1.4 million in his WBO title. So that money has to be made up with Daniel Jacobs. Will that fix Peter Quillin's image to the fans? No. It's a good fight? Yeah. But how do you factor Alfredo Angulo in? You have to say, okay, all right, Alfredo Angulo can make 160. He can't make 154 anymore. He has fought above the 154-pound limit, but he never weighed in at what he weighed in today, 162. We know he's not a super middleweight. We know he's not a 168-pounder. We know that he can't make 154, so therefore, put him at 160. But then, like I said, when you look at the 160-pounders, when you look at Golovkin, Miguel Cotto, Sam Solomon, you got Demetrius Andrade versus Matt Korobov. You know, I don't know. You know, you got Sam Solomon, Felix Sturm, Billy Joe Sanders, Chris Eubank Jr. And I'm just throwing names out there. I asked myself, can Alfredo Angulo beat these guys? I don't know. For example, he can lose to James De La Rosa tomorrow night. That's how undefined and how can I put it? I don't want to say unrespected, not respected. I want to say undefined and inconsistent that Alfredo Angulo is. He had the gift of being in pay-per-view this year. He was on pay-per-view. He headlined a pay-per-view. Even though he lost to Alvarez, fuck what you heard, he headlined a pay-per-view. So once again, what has he done for us lately? I feel the last fight, 20 weeks, okay, yeah, 20 weeks told him he was going to stop the fight, especially after that last mean uppercut from Saul Canelo Alvarez. But then you think in the fight before that, he was stopped by Erislandy Lara by having his face broken. How did he get to be on pay-per-view? And then you think just 2 fights before that, He got stopped by James Kirkland, where he was winning and put James Kirkland down. If you don't know, I'm T Street Controversy. I call the show T Street Controversy Live, and I cover boxing. I cover every single major boxing event live. The link to the weigh-in is right below. Real Combat Media. I'm telling this because people say this is not the fear of fucking weigh-in. You're trying to cheat us. No, the shit clearly says weigh-in results. So what I do is I cover the weigh-in and then I provide a link to the weigh-in. Eventually, actually, I'm going to the Bernard Hopkins versus Sergey Kovalev weigh-in. First weigh-in I'll actually be covering live. So what I'm saying is, I'm not just some guy anymore that just does videos. I have the credentials now. If you wonder why I'm wearing the sunglasses, I'll give you a little bit of a brief example. Exactly. T Street Controversy. T Street Controversy Live. Oh, I got a boxing forum. I run it in the form of a Facebook personal page. Just send a friend request. You're not going to see nothing because it's going to be blocked until you send a friend request. I'm going to screen you, then let you in. You think like, who's this guy? Why does he? Because I have real boxer profiles there. Real former and current world champion boxer profiles there. I can't have no bullshit going on my page. And if you don't know your boxing, then you're going to get slaughtered. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm talking about my forum is crazy. You're going to get slaughtered. T Street Controversy. T Street Controversy Live.